Hey again, FFBE group. Looking forward to today's video because it's one that I think is very relevant. Um, Actually, didn't get any questions specific to this week, but I've been seeing the same question popping up in multiple forms on lots of different people, and I think it's really relevant to talk about it. So I want to get right into it and get into that question. That question is, um, what unit should I pick from X list of units? You know, there's lots of things that are going on right now where we're getting units that we can just choose from a list and just say, okay, I want this unit or I want that unit. And there's a lot of units in those lists to try and choose from. You know, some examples of what I'm talking about. If we go to the special shop here, we can go to the Obnixis drop. You know, we could choose, you know, any one of these units here once we get the Obnixis drops from the Clash of Wills unit event and just pick up a free copy of this unit, you know. And so, you know, people are like, oh, what do I want from there? Or what do I want from the exchange shop because there's this thing going on. Where is it? Um, the ticket exchange, where I can just grab one of these units. I'm gonna get another one of these tickets later on in the month. You know, I can just pick, and the list is really huge. Like, so how do I choose, you know, what units I want? And my answer to that is that it really depends on what your goals are in this game. Let's take a look and see what I'm talking about. For example, if your goal is to get access to a specific NeoVision's unit's Brave Shift or their STMR, you're going to need to get them to EX1 or EX2. And so each one of those copies of that unit that you can pick up is worth 50 shards that you could potentially convert and get closer to that EX1 or EX2 goal. And you might be doing that because you're trying to power up a strong unit with items or abilities, and you want to choose the units that have the rewards to do that, even if you're not going to use them. You know, a really good example of this is if you're running Legendary Hero Sephiroth and you really are going to need NeoVision Cloud's STMR. It's a great way to pick this up. You know, you can get him for free right here. One copy of him, 50 shards. There you go. You can even just get one copy of him and throw an STMR Moogle on him if you got one, and there you go. There's your Master of Fate, and you're good to go. Um, the other piece of that too is that as a bonus, you know, when you get a unit to EX plus 2, you're going to get a 1 out of 10 NeoVision summon ticket to potentially get even more units. So if you've got a unit that's really close to that EX2, you know, 50 shards or less, you can go ahead and grab one of these copies and get your unit to EX plus 2 and get a 110 and maybe get another unit that you need to, you know, power up. It's a little bit risky, but every 1/10 counts, right? So those two things are really important to keep in mind if you're hunting specific units or for specific items or abilities. You want to grab those. Another one to think about if you're trying to clear a specific trial, you've been following somebody's guide and you're like, oh, I need to do, you know, such and such trial, but I don't have Yoshikiri. Well, you can just grab Yoshikiri here and then get your copy of Yoshikiri, and there you go. Yoshikiri is not necessarily the best example since maybe not the most useful, but there are some trials where Yoshikiri can do some good work for you. But you know, that's a good way to do that. So if you're trying to copy someone's strategy on something and you just need to cherry pick a unit, that's another one. Or if none of those really apply to you and you're just starting the game out and you just have like no units at all, other than maybe just a couple of random, you know, random stuff that you picked up from various summons. Um, and you don't have a magic cover tank yet, I'm going to really recommend Shoreline, Fina, and Daisy. They're so good. I'm going to scroll down just to show them to you, just in case you're not familiar with what they look like. Here they are: Shoreline, Fina, and Daisy. Um, they are the first tank in the game to have a preemptive cover, so they preemptively cover magic as soon as you get into the battle, which means if the enemy casts magic right away, they're going to cover it for you. They also get that preemptive cover if they come back from being knocked out. So if they die and you bring them back up, they have their cover skill automatically, which means they might cover you from an incoming attack without you having to put any commands in. So it's super good. They can provoke, they can imbue two different elements once you get them to EX plus 2. They can amplify two different elements, light and earth respectively. They can provide mitigations and element resists. They are just super valuable for a starting out player if you don't have a magic cover tank yet. They're super good. On this list as well, if you do have a magic cover but you need a physical cover, Gabranth is on this list, as is Bahimi right here. Both of those are superb physical cover tanks, and they provide different types of things. Gabranth is more just direct tanking, and Bahimi is more supportive type stuff of different abilities. Or Snow, you can be really flexible if you're looking for tanks. Good options. Melia also really good choice for a tank. Not as strong as Shoreline, Fina, and Daisy, but again, lots of different supportive abilities. So there you go. You really want to kind of look at what you have and what you need to try and narrow things down. Some units are really not worth picking up, but it just depends on what you have. Every unit has something that you can use, even if it's just their TMR or STMR. A lot of people don't really like Mazurka, for example, but Mazurka's STMR is a two-handed non-elemental spear, really good for somebody like Sky, who's really useful for Clash of Wills. So you could pick that up if you weren't going the gun route, which a lot of people do for Sky, but that's really complicated, and we don't need to talk about that because we're talking about choosing just useful stuff. So you want to think about that. Another thing to think about is the reality that there are units in this exchange shop that you might also see in the Obnixious shards, like Ferris, for example. Ferris is in both, so you could pick up Ferris here, or you could pick up Ferris from the Clash of Wills currency. It's probably better to pick Ferris up from Clash of Wills rather than here, since these are limited to 2 tickets unless you somehow get some more from buying them. But think about where you're getting these units from that you might be able to pick and choose. They are free, but that doesn't mean you can't make smart choices. Pick units that are going to help make you stronger, and not necessarily just grabbing something random, especially if you might pick something up and then never use it. What's the point in doing that? You don't want to waste this opportunity for something free guaranteed, especially something useful. So I'm glad people are asking these questions, but sometimes the answer, unfortunately, is just it depends. It depends on what you already have. There's no sense in grabbing a 12th copy of Neovision's Cloud if you've already got him at EX plus 3. So there you have it. The last little piece of this is, honestly, though, just pick what you want. It's free. It's your opportunity to pick up a unit you've always wanted. If you really want another copy of Savior of Souls Lightning because you want her STMR 4 times, go for it. Pick her up. It's free. Now, granted, you can get Savior of Souls Lightning twice from the Clash of Wills currency, so bear that in mind. Maybe pick her up there instead. I did. That's where I got my first 2 copies of her, honestly. So yeah, that's the answer. So if you're trying to make those decisions, hopefully that kind of feedback about like how you pick and choose units that are going to be useful for you is helpful. And thank you to the whole bunch of people who are asking various questions. Where should I use this ticket? Where should I pick up my units from Obnixious drops? Another version of this that actually came up, now that I'm thinking about it, is the STMR, or the 5-star select summon tickets. We have so many of these at this point. Once you have enough of them to grab a unit's STMR by just having 4 copies or 3 copies and a prism that you can buy with those tickets, you can get an STMR that way. Really easy way to get a unit ready for EX Awakening if they are a Neovision Awaken unit. Lots of good choices in there. My recommendation, if you were going to go that direction, pick things that are going to provide you with either killers or resistances. Those are like the best things in this game, honestly. Killers and resistance items. Attack bonuses, they're a dime a dozen, but stuff that gives multiple element resistances or rare killers, those are the things you really want to focus on if you're going to spend this relatively hard to get currency in the 5-star select summon tickets. So that is it. If you have any questions about what I'm throwing out there, or if you have different feedback, I'd love to hear what that is. Drop that in the comments on in the Facebook post or on this message if you see this on YouTube. We'd be happy to address that and provide some feedback, or let's just start a discussion about it. And hopefully if you have a question that you want to see talked about in the next video, please drop a line. That way we can talk about that and have something to talk about other than just what I see in the posts. Not that this isn't fun. I'm enjoying just digging through the posts and being like, man, what is everybody talking about this week? That is a lot of fun. So Thank you for watching. Have a good night.